Right, a very good morning, parents, P6s. Thank you for waking up early in the morning on a Saturday to join us in our SST e-Open House 2021. I'm Mrs. Linda Chan, Principal of SST. Right, I noted that there's a lot of you who have already started posting questions in the Q&A panel, and I'm very happy to have that, right? Please keep it coming. My team will try to answer some of these questions, and I will personally respond to some others as part of my presentation. Right, so if you just hold a bit of patience, I may not be responding to you directly, is because I know that I will cover it as I do my presentation. So please be patient about it. So that's the first part. The second part is some of you were asking questions. I can't find my video, I can't find my mic. Because this is a webinar and that can accommodate up to 3,000 people, I think we need to make sure that the bandwidth is going to be sufficient to support, all right, and also to prevent interference, if multiple parties come on at the same time. So we have actually removed that functionality, right? And so we would like to encourage you to ask your questions through the Q&A, right? As I said, my team is working behind the scene, right, trying their very best to respond as quickly as possible. But for the rest of the question, please bear with us. I will try my best to respond to it within my presentation. If not, then later on, there will also be a formal Q&A segment. Okay, now I think there's still a number of people coming in. Some of you may have come in a little bit earlier. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to just show you, right, before I start my presentation, a quick snippet of a particular video that will give you a quick overview of what SST is about. All right, over to you, JN. Please present the video.
Hello there.
Hello. Hi.
Could you tell us more about your aspirations?
My ambition is to design a space to improve children's well-being using the applications of design psychology.
I plan to stay involved in both cybersecurity and robotics communities, as well as help nurture the next generation of engineers.
I want to use biodegradable materials to build a glider that can deliver necessities to natural disaster victims.
Implement a system that international humanitarian organizations can use to more effectively channel their resources to help vulnerable communities.
Every student has a bank of untapped imagination and innovation. It is our task to discover and enable them to achieve their fullest potential. At SST, we aim to nurture our students to be passionate innovators who impact society through real-world applications of science and technology.
I love seeing concepts come to life. We apply what we have learned to projects based on real-world situations. This way of learning helps me understand theories taught in class better.
I think biotechnology really opened up this whole new world of sciences for me, and because of that, it kick-started my passion for the healthcare industry.
I grew up around computers, and at one point I did manage to pick up coding from my dad. Coming to SST, I was able to take my interest a step further with all the programs and resources available. In SST, we had the space and time to experiment, try new things, and even fail. But it was more than just grades. It was about the joy of learning, which often meant that we took our hobbies a bit too far.
I'm a designer at SST Inc. And when we talk about apps, people often have the misconception that it's all about coding. However, the user interface design is equally important as it links the user and the code and puts them at the center of the innovation. So there's a bit of design in everything, and that's what I love about it.
SST Incorporated, or SST Inc. in short, is a talent development program that provides opportunities for our students to develop technological solutions to better our society.
We want our students to be change makers, to make a difference to the world. That's why we incorporate a range of leadership, character and citizenship education programs to develop the 21st century skills and competencies. With these skills and competencies, no matter what path they pursue, they will be able to excel.
Making independent learning a lifestyle was my biggest takeaway from SST, and I found this to be important in tertiary education and life in general.
Overseas learning experiences have been very useful in teaching me new perspectives and how interconnected the world really is. It was through these experiences that I got to see how I can apply my problem-solving skills into creating tangible impact on the world.
SST is a small school and everyone is very familiar with one another. The thing I like best is the way we do things here. I have friends of similar interests and teachers who are innovators themselves and go the extra mile to enrich our learning experience.
We are constantly thinking of ways to enhance the SST experience. The tie-ups with industry partners and education institutions contribute to the development of our learning network, enabling us to design programs and exchanges that broaden our students' learning experiences.
Today, there's a growing need for individuals to have the skills to make connections across different disciplines. With SST's multidisciplinary approach towards applied learning, we aim to fulfill this demand by grooming a generation of young innovators who keep thinking of different ways to do things and how to do them better.
Right. Once again, good morning, parents, P6s. Thank you for taking the time to join us this morning. Right. This morning, I will be sharing a little bit more about SST, and later on, I will invite a parent, right, representing the parent support group, what we more fondly call P for SST, as well as the SST alumni to share a little bit more from their respective perspectives as well. Right. I think a number of you have been requesting in the last few months, asking, is there an opportunity to visit the school? Right? Will there be a physical open house? Well, that's something that I also really wish for, because I really love welcoming all of you here physically to the school, not just to be, to see the school facilities, but to have the opportunity to interact with our students. Right? I think that makes a lot of difference. Well, however, COVID situation just doesn't allow us to do so. So I hope that our program lineup for this whole week of open house will help you still get the sense of what it is all about without having the physical open house, right? So I'll touch a bit more today first on three aspects, namely why we do what we do in SST, what we do in SST, and finally, of course, how to apply to SST. I think that's what everybody is quite curious about and has been asking a lot of questions with regards to that. Okay, with that, let me start, all right, with why we do what we do. To do that, perhaps let me begin with the driving force behind the setup of SST, right, about a decade ago already. It was in 2008 when then Education Minister Tharman announced the setup of SST in Parliament. At that point, he explicitly stated that SST's mission is to nurture students with inventive mind, people who will keep looking for different ways of doing things. And as a nation, we know that we do need to groom adaptable, resilient STEAM talents in order to bring the country forward. Guided by this mandate that Minister Tharman then said, SST has been working towards nurturing our students to be the passionate innovator who improves society through real-world applications of science and tech. You would have seen some examples through the video just now. Now, so the question is, how exactly do we nurture our students to be that passionate innovator for the future workforce? Really, there has been many studies on the critical skills that we needed for our students for them to be successful in the future. I just want to cite a particular study that came out more recently in 2020 in the midst of COVID, right? The World Economic Forum right? They actually studied many organizations and across all the different nations, including Singapore. What did they study, right? They tried to study in each of the organizations, what are the skills that are high in demand, right? Based on this study, the skills in most high demand in Singapore is shown in this particular slide, right? It's written there, the emerging skills in order of frequency. Now, I just want to alert your attention to the top two, for example. The top two on the list in Singapore are analytical thinking and innovation, as well as active learning and the learning strategies, right? So bear this thing in mind. Now, from the list of the emerging skills that are in high demand across the different nations, the World Economic Forum then arrived at this list, right, that you see now, the list of the top 10 skills of 2025. Of course, if you look at it, not surprisingly, some of the skills that are in high demand in Singapore is again shown here, right? What you'll notice is problem-solving skills such as analytical thinking and innovation, creativity, originality, initiatives. These are all in high demand. But beyond this, skills that are under these clusters that say self-management, those are the green dots that you see on the right-hand side, the green dots, right? These are what we classify under the clusters of self-management. Right, clusters under working with people, that's the brownish colored looking dots. They look quite brown now, but that color. And technology use and development, which is reflected in the dark blue spots, right, dots. Right. So not just problem-solving skills, but all these areas are just as important. And indeed, right, these skills, I think, didn't catch us by surprise. The importance of all these skills has already been surfaced a good number of years. But I have to say that COVID-19 has disrupted the world and really further emphasized the need for all these skills to be developed in our people, and not just that, and with greater urgency. As you can see from this particular Straits Times article, rather than book knowledge, it is the ability to apply knowledge to novel situations and the ability to work in teams that will count in a post-pandemic world of work. Why am I sharing all this? Well, this is exactly the same philosophy that prompted MOE to set up SST. And I've said that this is the philosophy that we at SST hold very dearly to. That is why we work very hard at ensuring that the SST's curriculum will enable our students to develop that inventive mind, right? To be that innovator who will seek out problems, right? It's not so easy, not just to solve problems, but to seek out problems, who will then look for different ways of doing things and to use their knowledge and skills in science and technology to positively impact society. So that's the reason why we are driven to design our curriculum as such. Right? With that, allow me then to share a little bit more about our curriculum and what it is like. In SST, all right, in SST, we adopt the applied learning approach, right? So what is this applied learning approach? Basically, it is premised on these six facets, right? As you can see here, the 6 facets are listed, active and relevant, so on and so forth. Now, why do we adopt this applied learning? Basically, we believe that for deep learning to take place, the knowledge has to be applied and tested in a real world and problem-solving situation, right? If you look at some of the videos earlier, you will have noticed some examples, but perhaps let me illustrate the applied learning approach using this particular physics performance task. Right, can I have the next slide? Okay, so this, right, like most schools, right, we teach the subject of physics, right? In physics, we will introduce students to the concepts of speed, conversion of energy, conservation of energy. But in SST, instead of just learning it theoretically, our students are tasked in this particular performance task to build a car, all right, powered solely by a mousetrap. So the engine is actually the mousetrap. Conversion from the potential energy in the spring in the mousetrap to convert it to enable the car to move. So students have to work in groups and they have to apply the engineering design process as well as their physics concept to design the car And the challenge was for them to get the car to move as far and as fast as possible. After they have designed it, they do not stop there. They will then have to build and test the car that they have built. So in essence, in SST, our students learn the same content, like what every student in other schools may be learning for that subject. The key is we learn it through a very different approach. And through doing so, we hope that they have achieved deeper learning and to be able to apply it, all right, in future. The other questions that popped up along the way is that some of you were asking questions that that all our students own their personal laptops. How do we actually use them? Is it important? Well, yes, definitely. This personal laptop is used for their learning, and hence we in SST we are very careful. We don't call it a laptop; we call it a learning device. Okay. So in order to respond to the questions about how do we use our learning device, let me share an example of how we use it in the teaching of geography in SST. This is also to share with you that in SST, yes, we focus on science and technology. That doesn't mean we don't do also the humanities, right? It is actually very important too. Right, so in this example that I'm going to share in the geography, we don't usually in SST context rely on a textbook. All right, we all know a textbook is printed a couple of years, and the examples would have been something that could have taken place some time ago. So in SST, right, we task our students to work in groups again, and they produce an iBook again as part of their performance task. That's how we make learning a part and parcel, all right, of application of what they have learned. What do they do for their iBook? Right, to strengthen their understanding of the theoretical concepts. So, for example, if the teachers teach them, say, earthquakes, right, how it happened, and so on and so forth, students will then need to identify examples that illustrates those concepts, and they have to capture it in their iBook. So, in that sense, students can choose any real-world observations, use more recent examples that also keeps them updated in current affairs. Right, and besides that, they can actually also adopt different modes. They could use videos, they could use sound bites, right, that appeal to the different senses. So we use all these examples together with to illustrate the concepts, and they capture it in the iBook as part in their LD or the learning device. And so by doing so, actually they strengthen and develop their knowledge and skills in the subject area. But because they have to work in groups and they have to come up with creative ways to communicate their concepts through the examples and to present it, it enhances their soft skills such as collaboration and creativity. I hope the two examples that I've just shared give you a sense of how our teaching approaches is like in SST. But the other question that pops up all the time is then, so what subjects then do you offer? SST is, after all, a secondary school. We end with the GCE O-level certification. So our students will generally offer a very similar range of subjects like the languages, the humanities, math, and the sciences at the upper secondary level. So like what I have said earlier, we will cover the same content, but what differs and what is unique in SST is the approach in which we teach and the way that we learn, right? It is using the applied learning approach that I've shared a little bit earlier. But being a school with a focus on science and technology, of course, then science and technology does form quite a significant bulk of our programming. All our students are required to offer both the additional as well as mathematics. All our students offer the pure sciences. They choose two. Over and above that, they have to offer an applied subject. And this, I think, is another unique feature in SST. By the way, applied subject is counted, right, can be counted towards the L1, R5 computation. That's the computation of marks for progression to the next educational stage, be it to the JCs, to do the A-level, to do the IB, or to do their polytechnic diploma. So the applied subjects, the grades will count towards the computation. What are the applied subjects that we offer? You will see in this slide at the bottom, 4 different applied subjects that are being offered. I would say that computing and electronics are offered to a small group of students in some schools. There are just a few schools who offer these subjects. But subjects like biotechnology, and design studies are offered solely at SST. And very often, these subjects are co-taught by SST teachers together with our polytechnic lecturers, right? From Ngee Poly, they will actually come and teach our students in SST's compound itself. So that's the upper secondary subject offering. At the lower secondary, right, you will see the range of subjects listed. I'd just like to highlight your attention to a uniquely SST program, and that is the Changemaker program. If you managed to come in earlier, you would have seen some of the videos that we showed about our Changemaker program. But basically, our Changemaker program incorporates three subject domains, what we call art, design, media, and technology, ICT, information, communications, and technology, as well as I&E, or innovation and entrepreneurship. Right, if you want to find out more, please do look up in our website as well as all our social media platform. That will give you a bigger sense and greater examples of some of our Changemaker program. So that's a list of some of the subjects that we offer. But I also want to spend a bit of time sharing with you in our design of our curriculum. We ensure that all our students have this thing called cohort experience. You might be wondering, what's this cohort experience? Why are we doing all this cohort experience? Simply because every year we only admit a certain number of students, and the application rate is usually a lot higher. So the students who we select and come in all have a talent. They all have a talent that can be nurtured, can be developed, can be sustained. But we all know, right? Parents right now who is with us, your child is currently only 12. At 12, not every student may know their passion or area of interest. They may come into SST thinking that, I have an inkling for science and technology. I also like this way of learning, so they join us. But I think it is, once they are in SST, it is now our responsibility to help them uncover a little bit more. And to do so, right, we need to put them through experiences. Only when they go through different experiences, they have the opportunity to know what it is all about. It will then help them uncover. So in SST, we conduct this thing called cohort-wide experiences, and it cuts across a range of different domains, precisely, to provide them the opportunity to experience it, so that they know, right? Maybe they have some hidden interest in certain things. It's just that they do not know because they have never encountered it ever before yet. So we help them uncover it. And this diagram here tries to capture, in essence, the range of the different cohort-wide experiences focused at different levels. So for example, at secondary 1, we have active citizenship education, we have overseas learning experiences, right? At the secondary level, we use one whole term of science lessons, and we gave them this cohort experiences of investigative skills in science. At Sec 3, they go for the OBS, and at Sec 4, we even have a Discover program that is done together with industry as well as post-secondary educational institution. Again, if you want more information on this specific program, please visit our website, Facebook, or our EDMs that we have sent out. By the way, if you have seen this slide, some of you may be wondering what happens to the overseas learning experiences now that we can't travel. Right? I think that's the spirit of SST, right? Nothing can stop us, right? COVID can't. True enough, we can't bring our students to the world, but what is stopping us from bringing the world to them? So in SST's context, we continue to have our exchange programs with our overseas partner schools, but of course, virtually. So through the technology, our students continue to work with their peers from our overseas partner schools on joint projects and to advocate for their identified cause. So that's what I meant by in SST, right? If these are important skills that we want to develop in our students, if there are constraints, there are challenges, but challenges gives us new opportunities, and we will tap on it, right? So we can't tell exactly what we will do next, but basically that's the premise. Having experienced the cohort-wide programs, the students would, like I said, have the opportunity to uncover their areas of interest. All right, once they've uncovered their areas of interest, what we want our students to do is to pursue their areas of interest at a deeper level. And this is done through our talent development programs. And by that, I mean talent development programs across a whole range of different subject areas, a whole range of different domains. In SST, we adopt this Traffinger's levels of service approach as our talent development framework. Not to worry about it, I'll try my best to explain it in a very simple term. And to explain it, I'm going to use our technology talent development program, which you would have seen in the corporate video earlier. The students in the talent development program for technology, they call themselves very nicely SST Inc. Okay, but that doesn't mean that's the only talent development program we have. I'm just using this for illustration purposes. Okay, earlier on, I shared that we offer a uniquely SST program called the Changemaker program at our lower secondary level. Right. In other words, this is a cohort-wide program. So that's what I call by level of service 1. Okay, so level 1 type of service. As part of the Changemaker program, the students are taught ICT skills, right? Remember I said there are different domains. There's this subject called Art, Design, Media and Technology. There is ICT. There is also the Innovation and Entrepreneurship. In the ICT component, as part of the Changemaker, they learn things like games creation. They learn a bit of programming. They learn how to use Arduino, which is a simple, a small microcontroller. And actually, perhaps I'm just very proud of it that we don't use the Arduino that's out in the market. We actually use our SST made version. It's called the SS3 Duino. This is actually developed and made by our SST alumni. Right? In SST, they used it. They felt that they can improve their functionality, so they developed an SST Duino, and this is what we are proudly using thus far. So with this as a base program that cohort-wide every student goes through, students who found a deeper interest in it say, hey, I'm really interested in this area. Can I now take on enrichment activities? So we have the levels 2 services. These are activities that the students opt to take on their own. And students who, through those experiences, deepen their interest and have a certain talent for it, they then participate in our level 3 programs. And in that, we have selected students to participate in this Project San Francisco, where they get a chance to visit Silicon Valley and have exchange program with some of the firms and industries in Silicon Valley itself. They also have opportunities to develop apps for real clients, such as the KK Women's and Children's Hospital. If I may just indulge a little and share this particular app that our SST Inc. kids developed with the KKH Hospital. Basically, the doctors from KKH Hospital came to our school, share with our students their needs, and eventually our students developed an app that helped the anesthetists calculate the quantity of drugs to be administered. The apps also came with a step-by-step accident and emergency operations procedures and guide for reference by the hospital's doctors. Right, I'm so pleased that after we have developed the app, the hospital actually acknowledged our students during the hospital's third Singapore anesthesia refresher course. So they launched the app at that particular platform. If you see in this picture here at the bottom left, there is a picture of one of our students presenting the app that he has designed, and he was so proud. He was able to share it with none other than the Apple CEO, Mr. Tim Cook, during his visit to SST in, I think, 2019. So we provide lots of different experiences to try to deepen their various experiences. So with that, the other big question, right, multi-million-dollar question that, with all these SST learning experiences, where do our students go to next? Can I have the next slide, please? Right? So where do they go? Basically, our students, given our curriculum, it allows our students to progress to either the A-level, the IB, the Polytechnic. And over the past 10 years, about 90% of our students are eligible to the JCs, while all are able to proceed to the Polytechnic. So about 90%, based on their results, are eligible for progression to the JCs. However, about half of them will choose to proceed to the JCs, slightly more than half will choose to proceed to the JCs to do either their A-level or IB, while the rest, by choice, right, choose to go to the Polytechnic. Now, they are eligible for the JC, but they choose to go to the Polytechnic. What I would like to highlight is that whichever path they have taken, they have done well. And I'd like to highlight a few examples, right? For example, on the top, right, that's a picture of Joshua Kwan. He's from our class of 2017, meaning he graduated in SST in the year 2017. He was awarded the SAF Engineering Scholarship after completing his A-levels at the NJC. All right. Johanna, on the other hand, chose the IB pathway. And upon completion of her IB, she was awarded a scholarship by IMDA to pursue law. Right. More recently, at the Nanyang Polytechnic graduation ceremony just held a couple of weeks ago, I'm so proud that SST alumni actually clinched 2 of the 4 Lee Kuan Yew Award given by the Polytechnic. Basically, the Lee Kuan Yew Award is the top award for the Polytechnic. So out of the 4 recipients, 2 of them are from SST. In fact, our alumni, Ruben, shown here, he took on the Engineering Science Diploma at Nanyang. He is actually crowned the top graduate of Nanyang Poly, and we are so proud of him. And both the award recipients have managed to receive their awards physically, right, from Minister Lawrence Wong, just before the graduation ceremony was pushed to go on an online mode. So you see here the picture of Ruben receiving his award from Minister Lawrence Wong. The question is, these students actually found their area of passion through the various programs that is provided by SST, both the cohort-wide as well as talent development program. They then choose the path that matches their interests and strength. And it is because of that, it enables them to blossom further and setting them up for success. So on this same note, I would like to encourage all our potential students, right, to be true to your own interests and strength. And choose the school that provides you with the best match, right? If you're interested in science and technology, you like to work in performance tasks or projects, working in teams, right? This is very much our applied learning approach. Then SST potentially is a school for you, right? So with that, all right, if this is a school for you, would you be worried about other things like school fees, right? SST is, yes, an independent school. However, I'd like to highlight that no deserving student will be left behind. In SST, we have a range of scholarship and bursaries for our Singaporean citizens, right? So if you would like to have more information, please scan the QR code there, right? You can find out more about the scholarship as well as the various financial supports available. On that note, let me go to now the very important thing where many of you raised many questions already. Let me run through how to apply to SST and what's the admissions process. Okay, so basically, application to SST is via the DSA portal. SST admits all our students via DSA, right? So you will not find SST in the Sec 1 posting booklet at the end of the year. Okay, so what do you do to apply? You apply through the MOE DSA portal. The portal is currently open. It's open since the 5th of May, and it will continue to remain open till 1st of June. So some of you ask questions like, when I apply for this portal, what portfolio do I need? If my child has certain experiences or in school, how do I show it to you? If my child didn't have, then does it mean he has no chance? If my child participated in activities beyond school, how can I show it to you? Okay, so there are many range of questions. So can I summarize this? Okay, if you go into the MOE DSA portal, right, a lot of the information that you have participated in school, in your primary school, will be auto-populated and we will know. So there's no need for you, right? So there's no hassle for you to incorporate everything that will be there. However, if you have participated in activities beyond the school, then please key it in. Okay, so there is places for you to key in. It's pretty easy. The portal is quite easy to use. You will key in all those things. Right? So there is no need for you to submit anything else other than what you need in the portal. As simple as that. Okay? So with that, we will look at it and we will shortlist students and invite you for an e-quiz. It's called an e-quiz because, as you heard, DSA cannot be held physically in school. So we will run an e-quiz and your child will do the e-quiz in their respective primary school. We will coordinate with the primary school to conduct it, right, using technology. This will take place sometime in end June, early July, right? So together with all this information, we will then proceed to further shortlist and invite the selected group of students to participate in phase 2, which we call the e-challenge. This will then take place between the period of July to end August. It has to spread a certain duration because we again have to do it virtually. And this will again be done in the respective primary school. Again, we will work with the primary schools to arrange for all these sessions. So once we've completed all this, we will release the outcome. SST itself will release the outcome by 13th of September. Right? So you will know whether you have been given a confirmed offer or a wait list offer. Okay, so that's generally the stages. So some of you, before I hand the time over to Richard, maybe I just want to add one more thing because of the questions that keeps popping. If you don't have very much experiences in it, but you feel that you have those interests, all right, it's okay. No harm in applying. All right, no harm in applying. We do not look at only one criteria. We really look at a basket of criteria. And of course, because we have a focus in the science and tech, we definitely do look at your math and science and your general ability to manage the rigorous workload here. Okay, our way of learning may be very applied learning. It is not hands-on, and therefore I do very little thinking. Right? The type of hands-on work that we require our students to do requires you to have deep understanding of your content before you can actually translate it and apply it. Okay, so with that, I hope it gives you a sense of what you can do and to apply. Okay, with that, it's my time to take a small breather. I will hand the time over to Richard, all right, who is the chairperson of our parent for SST. Right, Richard, over to you.
Thank you, Mrs. Chan, for the long introduction of the me during this DSA. Yeah. Hello to all parents. Good morning to you. I think Mrs. Chan has introduced me. I'm Richard. I'm currently the P4SST chairperson. But definitely, I'm not the only one in P4SST that runs the parent support group. Actually, I have a whole team of passionate parents, I would say, that actually helps me to look into the different needs in the school, especially the parents. So, I mean, currently we have a chat group that supports parents. So in a chat group, whenever parents have any concern, they actually can raise it to us. And as fast as possible, we'll work with the school to come up with an answer. If not, I will direct the question to the school to help the parents as much as possible. Yes, I think from the slides, you can actually see that currently I'm a set 4 parents. So that means my son is preparing for his O-level end of this year. And in fact, in a week's time, he will be preparing for, actually, he will be taking his mother tongue O-level. Yeah, so he's currently busy preparing it after his common test. Yeah, so I really hope all the best for him during this period of his preparation. Yes, as I was listening to Mrs. Chan doing the introduction, I actually think back like 4 years ago in 2017. I think I'm like all the parents here trying to see if there's any school that actually fits my child. That maybe they got a chance to go for a DSA, just like all of you who are attending today, to see whether is SST a school that actually can help my child in terms of his development or in terms of his his secondary school education. So I'm actually like all of you doing the same thing, trying to go through the website and try to find out a little bit more. And actually chanced upon SST. So I said, hey, School of Science and Technology. So what does the school actually offers? So I went to the website and actually do my homework. I actually do my detailed homework. I go and look into all the website and see actually what does the school offer. And I mean, there's one thing that actually caught my attention, that is applied learning. And I think Mrs. Chan talked a lot about it as well. So then at the same time, looking at what the school offers, and I look at my son. So, hey, actually, does he actually fit into what the school is going to provide for him? So I would say that for my son at 12 years old, then what actually caught my attention is in terms of his curiosity, in terms of how he go about his learning, both academically as well as, at home, whenever there is any issues that we face, whether is it a household issue or anything, he will be trying his best to come up with a solution for us, trying to recommend. And I remember very clearly, we went for even a holiday, a family holiday. He is the one that actually prepared the itinerary for the whole trip. Me and my wife didn't actually do anything. He was preparing the trip. How do we go from one place to another place? And so that actually triggered my thought. Actually, maybe I can just let my son have a go, have a try. So there's no harm trying, because if you never try, you never know. So, and then you have to sit for the test as well. So let's see how it goes. So actually we have a discussion and okay, then let's put in our application and see how things develop. I mean, yeah, I would say that is I'm blessed, and then I'm actually fortunate as well, knowing that there will be a lot of applicants. So I think in terms of the test, the e-test, or all the tests that he went through, fortunately he was being selected. He was being given a confirmed offer. So that's how we ended up. My son and myself ended up in SST. But I can say that for this 4 years of learning for him in SST, I can actually say that he has really developed to someone who is very self-directed in his learning, put whatever he learns into practice. And for someone who is pretty soft-spoken in primary school, that I remember the teacher was telling me in primary school that she always need to ask my son to talk, then he will actually talk. You don't get to see him raising his hand and trying to volunteer himself. But in SST, I see the change in him. He even trying to apply for a peer support leader. That is something that I never expect him to do it. Now he has to be the senior, trying to lead the juniors in the school, trying to plan programs for them. So this is one area that I see the development in my son. So I also hope that for the rest of the parents who are here today, listening to Mrs. Chan, myself, and later the alumni who will be sharing, I hope that we will give you a good perspective into what to expect. But definitely, if your child is given a confirmed offer, I really seriously hope that you will put a thought to it. Through the 4 years, I heard a lot of parents asking the question, of the distance they need to travel, of the commitment that the kids need to have in terms of the amount of homework or now a project. But definitely, I can say that the school will actually space it out properly for them. But in terms of distance to travel, I can tell you that some students actually stay as far as Tampines, Punggol, Sengkang. They have no problem coming to SST. And definitely, Singapore is just so big. It's not like you need to travel for many hours. It's just like 1 or 2 hours you can actually reach SST. But I can tell you, most of the students that I come in contact with, they actually it's their choice to come to SST. And I see that passionate learning in all of them. And I hope that all the parents here would actually support your child, especially if they're given a confirmed offer to come. Yeah, I think that's all I want to share. Thank you, Mrs. Chan. Back to you.
Right. Thank you, Richard. Right. So he has given a bit of a perspective from his as a parent as well as his child's growth. Now I'm going to invite Saffron. Saffron, before you do any sharing, can you also try to respond to the question about there seem to be fewer girls? Indeed, actually, we have let's put it this way: we have about a quarter of the students being girls. Meaning 3/4 are boys. Right, Saffron. Being a female, how do you feel about it? Could you also try to address that question? Right, over to you, Saffron.
Okay, I think before I start with my sharing, I'll just answer the question that Mrs. Chan just posted to me. So back in 2016, when I first stepped into my class, I was quite shocked to see that there were very few girls. But in my class had the largest number of female students in the whole cohort, which was a grand total of 7 out of 25. So initially, I was a bit worried because I actually came from a girls' school, Marymount Convent. So stepping into an environment where the majority was made out of boys, I was a bit concerned. But in the end, I had no reason to worry because a lot of the guys in SST, they're all very kind, they're all very nice, and they do treat the girls with a lot of respect. And sometimes they actually do treat the girls better than they treat their own friends. And in that sense, SST is a very safe environment for girls. And yeah, a lot of them are very gentlemanly and respectful. So if you have a daughter or if you are a girl yourself, I don't think that there is a large cause for concern. Yeah, I just hope that answers the question and get rid of any fears that you may have. Yeah, anyway, I'll just start with my sharing now. Good morning, everyone. I am Saffron Lim, and I am from SST's class of 2019. I'm currently a year 2 student at Ngee Polytechnic, and I am pursuing a diploma in engineering science. And today I'll just be sharing with you my experiences in SST. So if I take a short walk down memory lane and reminisce about the 4 years that I have spent here, there's no way I can condense all of my good memories into one short sharing. So my main focus for today would be on the opportunities that SST provides for growth and how I, as a person, have developed as a result of my time here. I'd first like to start off with a little quote by SST's Vice Principal, Mrs. Chu. Every year, Secondary 1 students would attend a ceremony known as Badge Night, where they receive their SST badges and are officially inducted into the SST family. And every year, Mrs. Chu would tell this one anecdote to the parents and Secondary 1 students. Upon their children's graduation, parents would go up to her and say, "My child would not have become the person he or she is now if not for SST." Of course, this can be interpreted in 2 different ways, one in a positive light and another in a not so positive light. However, looking at my cohort mates, my seniors and my juniors, I can very proudly and confidently say that SST has helped them bloom into wonderful and amazing people, leaders, trailblazers, and innovators alike. And now SST provides a multitude of opportunities for personal development. There's the multiple leadership boards and the talent development programs that Mrs. Chan touched on. And all these programs propel students to greater heights. And even though I was a student counselor and an active citizenship education leader myself, the one thing that truly acted as a catalyst for my own growth was the SST community. SST to me is special because of its culture and values. The community here isn't perfect, but it is kind, it is open-minded, it is caring. The students are resilient and persevering, and everyone tries their best in whatever they do. When I first stepped foot into this warm and welcoming environment, I was amazed at how at ease I felt. When you are surrounded by people who put in their best effort, whether it's their studies, their CCAs, their leadership positions, or even in their personal lives, it really makes you want to try your hardest as well. And it made me think, hey, I can really do my best in this school. I want to do my best in this school, and I want to make good use of my time here and be the best that I can be. And this is the sort of impact that the SST community had on me. And this is what, in my opinion, sets SST apart from the other schools. And of course, we have the leadership boards. SST, despite having a very small population of around 800 students, has a lot of available leadership positions, such as the student council, the peer support board, the house and CCA committees, and even each class has their own executive committee. So class chairperson, class vice chairperson, as well as the subject representatives. So everyone in SST has an opportunity to pursue a leadership position. And many of my classmates from secondary 1 and secondary 4 all held at least one position in SST, with many having more than one position. So for me, being part of the student council and the active citizenship education leadership board, which champions advocacy and giving back to the community, were the things that pushed me to go further. So one of the prime examples for me would be in the area of public speaking and self-confidence. It's not something that's super profound, but for me, this is what had the greatest impact. Let me be honest with you, I have really, really bad stage fright. Even the thought of presenting something to my class in like secondary 1, secondary 2 would have been enough to make me feel nauseous and make me feel like throwing up. However, all these leadership roles and all the opportunities that I've had here have allowed me to come out of my shell and cultivate the confidence needed to deliver talks and speeches to a crowd. And even though many of my speaking experiences were quite nerve-wracking for me, I'm quite grateful for them now that I'm in Polytechnic, where a lot of our projects involve presentations. And all in all, SST has transformed me in ways I could not have imagined as a secondary 1 student, or even as a primary 6 student waiting for the early admissions exercise to start. And all in all, I'm very grateful for the chance that I had to join SST, and I'm very glad that I came here. And to the primary 6 students, regardless of which secondary school you choose, I hope that your journey will be a meaningful and fruitful one. And I think that will conclude my very short sharing. Thank you.
Right, thank you, Saffron. It's always nice to get our alumni back. Because time is a bit short, so we only invited Saffron, but actually we have also invited other alumni to come on board on next Saturday when we present. So that student actually went on to the JC track. So if you wanted to find out a bit more how they are prepared, regardless of the track that they have taken, this is also an opportunity for you to respond to. Now, I know my colleagues have been furiously answering questions, but there are some questions that they have sort of pushed to me. So I will try to respond. So the big basket, there's a number of individual specific questions with regards to DSA. Maybe I will reiterate this point. Now, I think Richard made that reference just now. If you don't try, you won't know. So don't ask me exactly if I got AL this for this subject, AL this for this subject, will I or will I not have a chance? I seriously, not that I don't want to tell you, the answer is I don't know, right? Every year it is a demand and supply issue. But the bottom line is, what I need to tell you that I do know is that while we may have given you an offer without looking at your PSLE results, what the child must is that they must clearly qualify for express course of study. So it is not SST's express course of study. It is nationally what is the cutoff for the express course of study. Now I know this is the AL, this is the new PSLE, so all of us are also trying to remember what's the number. So the minimum is AL 20, okay? Because that's 20 is where you qualify for the express course of study. So if I've given you a confirmed offer and you want to take it on, but you don't qualify for express course of study, unfortunately, you will not be able to join the school, simply because we only offer the express course of study in SST. Okay, so I hope that explains that part about what's the cutoff. So for individual subjects, I would like to highlight, and for your individual experiences, because some of you asked, do I need to have coding? Do I need to be robotics? If you have a chance to interact with some of our students who are in SST Inc., that's the Technology Development, Talent Development Program. Many of you will tell you when they step into SST, they know nothing about coding. It is here because of certain experiences that they suddenly understood and they felt that this is an area that they are interested about. So I would say you don't have to have that base. But the question is, are you interested in the logical thinking? I would say not about coding. Frankly speaking, I know nuts about coding. All right, I can't write a program at all, but I can read their program and understand what they're writing because I had the computational thinking, meaning I understand the logic, right? Why certain thing loops in a certain way. So I would say if there is certain analytical and logical type of thinking, that's all that suffices. It is not about the language. Coding right? Which language are you going to use? Are you going to use C, C++, Python, right? Every language has their own syntax. But if you understand the logic behind it, it doesn't matter. So the crux of the matter is we do not look for it, right, as the only criteria, but we'll look at it holistically.